All right, let's jump right in. We need to talk about something that sounds kind of technical, maybe even a little boring: cloud waste. But trust me, this is one of the biggest, most expensive problems in tech today, and it's hiding in plain sight. This isn't just a rounding error, folks. We're talking about a colossal system failure. Just look at that number. $44.5 billion. So what is that? Well, that's how much money big companies are projected to just throw away on cloud stuff in 2025. And no, that's not a typo. It's an absolute fortune, just poof, vanishing in the thin air. So how on earth do you get to a number that big? I mean, where does it even come from? Well, it's not like a small leak in the pipes. It's more like a gaping hole in the budget. That massive number, it works out to be a full 21% of all enterprise cloud spending. Let that sink in for a second. That's like for every $5 you spend, $1 is just gone. Wasted on servers sitting around doing nothing, resources that are barely being used, all that stuff. All right, so let's dig into just how deep this problem really goes. Because these aren't just some abstract numbers on a global report. No, this is a pain that is being felt inside pretty much every single organization. And here's the kicker. This isn't some consultant coming in and pointing fingers. This is what companies are admitting about themselves. You've got almost half, 49% of organizations saying, yeah, we probably waste more than a quarter of our cloud budget. And it gets crazier. About a third of them think they're wasting over 50%. So the big takeaway here, companies know they're bleeding money. They're totally aware of it. And they're pretty sure the problem is even bigger than what the official reports say. So when you see numbers like that, what's the first thing you think? Your gut reaction is probably to find someone to blame, right? And who's the easy target? It's got to be the developer, the person who actually spun up that server. But is that what's really going on here? And this is where we have to flip the script. This whole idea, this narrative, that it's just a bunch of careless developers burning through cash, it's not just wrong. It's actually holding us back from finding a real solution. And that brings us to the absolute heart of the matter. You can tattoo this on your brain. This is not a developer problem. It is a systemic failure. The problem isn't the individual people. It's the broken system they're forced to work in. And you want proof? Here it is. Developers aren't just shrugging their shoulders. The opposite, actually. A huge majority of them, we're talking 62%. They want more control over cloud costs. They're literally asking to help. So they're not the problem. They're just locked out of the system that would let them be the solution. Okay, so if it's not the people, then what is it? Let's play detective for a minute and find the real culprits. We're going to look at the systemic flaws that basically design waste right into the process. And there are three big ones we need to talk about. First up is something I call the visibility black hole. Seriously, just imagine this. You're trying to make your car more fuel efficient, but you don't have a fuel gauge, you don't even have a speedometer. That's basically what developers are dealing with every day. They are flying completely blind, trying to fine-tune a black box that they have zero insight into. And you don't have to take my word for it. The data proves just how blind they're flying. Less than half of them have any idea what resources are just sitting there idle. Only about a third can even see if the stuff they built is provisioned correctly in the first place. It's simple, right? You just can't fix a problem that you literally cannot see. And what happens when everyone's flying blind? Well, you get a number like this, 55%. That's the percentage of all major cloud purchasing commitments that are based on, you guessed it, pure guesswork. Think about that. Over half of these multi-million-dollar decisions are basically just a shot in the dark. Okay, systemic failure number 2. Let's call it the FinOps disconnect. Now, most big companies have these things called FinOps teams. It's short for financial operations. And their whole job is to control cloud costs. Sounds good, right? Well, here's the problem. Over half of the engineering leaders out there say the real reason they're wasting so much money is the massive disconnect between that FinOps team and the developers. See, FinOps has all the cost data, the spreadsheets, but the developers have the engineering context. They know why things were built that way. They're in totally separate worlds, and neither one can see the full picture. And that brings us to the third big system failure: broken incentives. This is where the system itself actually rewards behavior that creates waste. And honestly, there's no better, more perfect example of this than a tool that tons of developers use every single day: Kubernetes. So let's break down the rationale, but really costly decision a developer has to make. On one side, you have their absolute worst nightmare. Their app crashes because it ran out of memory. This is called an OOM Killer, out of memory. It's super visible, it happens right now, and yeah, it could be really bad for their career.
Now, on the other side, you've got the company's problem, cloud waste. That's invisible, it's a problem for later, and frankly, it feels like it's someone else's department. So you're the developer. What do? It's a no-brainer. You over-provision your resources. You give it way more power than it needs, just in case. You make a perfectly rational, smart choice for you that ends up creating a huge, expensive problem for the company. Okay, so that's a lot of doom and gloom, I know. The system is broken, it's basically designed to create waste, but, and this is a big but, the good news is we can actually fix it. So let's talk about the path forward. The solution really comes down to 3 key things. First, better tools. I'm talking about embedding cost information right into the places where developers already work, like in their code editors. No more switching screens. Second, shared accountability. Let the FinOps folks worry about the big picture strategy and negotiating discounts, but let the engineering teams actually own the cost of the services they run. And third, and this one is so important, we have to start treating cost as a top-tier metric, right up there with performance and reliability. And if we do all that, the payoff is huge. Seriously enormous. Companies that actually get this right can cut their cloud waste by 20 to 30%. And that's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. That's freeing up a ton of cash that can be used for, actual innovation. So if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this right here. The answer isn't to yell at people for more accountability when they're stuck in a broken system. The answer is to build better infrastructure, one that empowers them to make the right call from the very beginning.
And that leaves me with one final question for you to chew on. Think about your own company, your own team. Are you guys focused on fixing the tools and the system itself, or are you just blaming the builders? Because the answer to that question is going to determine whether you're part of that $44.5 billion problem or if you're part of the solution.